So, I'm not really a question of the day type person, but I was kind of curious just to know what other games you guys like to play. Personally, I'm very much a PC gamer. I really love Team Fortress 2. Actually played a lot of it at a LAN party last night. So yeah, if I ever got into game commentary on a different game, it would probably be TF2, just by my estimate. So I got another OU match here. It's a Rain team. This team actually turned out to be terrible, so I just scrapped it pretty soon. He leads off with Celebi against my Politoed, and I just wanted to get up Rain, which is why I led with that, even though he does have a Celebi. And I'm going to go into Scizor now. He actually gets up a Nasty Plot, so I guess it wasn't really a mystery as far as his moveset goes. And I'm just going to go for a Bug Bite right away. Wasn't quite sure about my ability to survive a +2 HP fire in the rain, but I didn't really have anything else to deal with Celebi at this point. So he's going to go into his Gyarados, and it turns out that he didn't have Intimidate, and I'm not really sure what it is because it doesn't have Leftovers, so it's obviously not Bulky DD. So I assume that it's probably going to be some kind of offensive variant. It wasn't Life Orb either, so I guess it has to be choiced somehow. So I'm just going to go for a Will-O-Wisp on the switch, predicting him to go out to his Swampert. And Swampert doesn't have recovery, which is one of its main shortcomings, especially compared to choices like Quagsire or even Gastrodon. So that's one of the main reasons why it can't really compete as much. So I'm going to get off that burn, and that's really going to make Swampert a lot easier to deal with, because it really puts a damper on his ability to survive. And I'm going to stay in with my Ferrothorn. Seems like kind of a dumb move because I go for a Thunder Wave, but if you think about it, he's going to get up a Nasty Plot in this situation anyway. So if I Thunder Wave him, I can at least ensure that next turn I will outspeed him with Scizor if I decide to switch it in. And I'll just be able to use Bug Bite and threaten a one-hit KO, so he'll be forced to switch out, and when he comes back in, he'll be weakened considerably because of all the entry hazards I set up. So I just get up a layer of Spikes and also Stealth Rock. Turns out that he doesn't have HP Fire, which is pretty good. Not really sure how it compares to Earth Power in the rain, but he does have Life Orb, and you can see that Ferrothorn is pretty much a beast, both physically and specially defensive speaking, because I managed to survive that Earth Power despite the fact that he has Life Orb and it's at +2 from Nasty Plots. So I do get up another layer of Spikes. Overall, I've got Stealth Rock and 2 layers of Spikes up now, which is really good because he has absolutely no entry hazards up, so I'm pretty much going to be dominating the switching game. And I'm just going to set up a sub on Thundurus. I actually do not like the Nasty Plot Life Orb standard set as much. I prefer this one because sub really helps me scout for status, and even outspeed most priority users to scout for movesets because I have Prankster. And I was hoping for some Parahacks because I can set up a multitude of subs because he has a 25% chance to be fully paralyzed, and I can definitely set up more than 4 times. He actually gets a double paralysis though, so that was pretty bad for him. The chance of a double paralysis happening is actually only 6.25%, so you can see that was kind of hacksy overall. So he's going to go into his Swampert, and I am at +2, so I should be able to KO it with Hidden Power Ice. Overall, Quagsire is a much better switch-in into Thundurus because of Unaware, so of course that nullifies my stat boosts. And of course, Swampert's not really going to be able to do much. Hidden Power Ice will still do a lot, even though it's neutral and not really that strong. So I'm going to be able to 2-hit KO Swampert pretty easily. Even if he didn't have a burn, I would have been able to KO him anyway. And I'd suspect that Ice Punch probably wouldn't have done that much damage even if I didn't have a sub up because he's burned, so even though it is super effective of course. So now he's going to send out his Gyarados again, and I was kind of wondering why he decided to send out Gyarados, and I was sort of surprised when he outsped me, because it turned out that although I thought it was probably choiced, I really expected Band instead of Scarf, because Scarf Gyarados is sort of gimmicky, not really that good of a set at all. Although it does manage to catch me by surprise and does a lot. I actually do manage to hold on and survive, so Thundurus manages to get off a Thunder and KO his Gyarados. So Thundurus managed to tear a decent chunk out of his team, but it's probably time for it to die now because he sends out his Scizor, and I'm just going to leave it into a Bullet Punch because really no point in leaving it in. It doesn't really have that much health anyway, so I can't really do much. So it seems that he's locked into it with Choice Band because he doesn't have Leftover, so it's not a especially defensive set. And I actually thought he would switch out, which is why I decided to set up a sub with a Azumarill. A lot of people like to use Choice Band, but I kind of like this set because it's a little bit more flexible, and I can set up some subs, which makes it easier to deal with status. So he's going to just stay in and use Bullet Punch, and that's going to put me in kind of an awkward position because I don't have Waterfall, unfortunately. I use the other 2 movesets for coverage purposes, so I've got Focus Punch and Ice Punch. for stuff like Ferrothorn and Grass types. So I'm just going to be forced to go with Aqua Jet to finish him off. It's a 2-hit KO, but he does actually outspeed me, so he's going to get off another Bullet Punch and do a considerable amount to Azumarill. So now he's going to switch into his Machamp, and I'm kind of glad that it didn't hit any of my other Pokemon, because Azumarill's already kind of weakened a lot. So I can kind of just sack it and get off an Aqua Jet, and that's going to put it in KO range for one of my other Pokemon, which is pretty good. So he's going to go for that Dynamic Punch. Doesn't really matter. Confusion's not too important because he is going to kill me off anyway. So I'm going to send in Rotom now just to finish off the rest of his team. And I'm just going to go for a Thunder because I don't want to miss a Hydro Pump. And Thunder is very powerful in the rain, 100% accuracy and 180 base power after stab factored in. So he's going to send out his last Pokemon, which is Heatran. And really not much that can do to me, of course, especially since it's raining. He's got an Air Balloon, but it doesn't matter because I don't use ground-type moves anyway. So he actually gets a Fire Blast. Unfortunately misses, but it doesn't really matter anyway because I definitely would have survived even if it wasn't raining. And that is game right about now.